Hello, it's Lynn Watts here, and today I want to talk about friendship. I'm going to be talking about it in terms of one of my lesson plan books, and this is the one, Stories to Learn By. And this particular book has lesson plans for all of the Wyatt books. So if you have the book series, or even if you just have a few of the books about Wyatt, you can then use the lesson plans in here for different ways that you can use the books in the classroom. And the great thing about the books is there are 9 of them. So they're really, you could use one each month of the school year. And they're really designed so that they kind of flow with the school year, starting with, beginning with kindergarten perhaps, or the one on good manners between friends, or, and this is a good one for the beginning of the year also, Wyatt the Wonder Dog learns about friendship. So if you're familiar with the story, in this particular book, there is a new student at school. It is a cat right here whose name is Amy. And she doesn't have any friends because she's new to the school. And Wyatt kind of takes her under his wing and learns how to be a good friend and also how to help her make some friends. And there's also some other empathy kind of issues that you could bring out in that story. So let me just talk about what you find in Stories to Learn By and how you can use this to give you ideas about what you would do to talk about that particular picture book, and also activities that you could get students involved in for all grade levels. So like all of the lesson plans, there are GSCA standards and objectives listed. Materials, essential questions that you want to ask, what are qualities of a good friend, that sort of thing. And then there are some particular activities. So let me tell you the ones that are in here for friendship, and I'll just kind of try and hold this up and show you. But one activity that you could do is you could have students write a letter to someone who is new. And this letter, and you can use this as a template, so you don't have to go exactly by this, but it basically welcomes them and says being new can be hard. One time I was new too, and then there's a blank. So this is how you can help all the students empathize with what it's like to be new. One time I was new to a team, to a school, to a class. Everybody's been new to something at some point. And then I felt, so there could be a variety of feelings here. You could certainly talk about it ahead of time, filling out the letter, but it gives a chance for everybody to kind of empathize with what is it like to be new. I remember when I was new and it felt exciting, scary. You can come up with lots of words. And then there's a place to talk about, here's some of the things I did or will do or can do to make new friends. And this obviously would be something that you could talk about in the classroom, and then they could share their letters with each other. They could partner up and share them. They could share them with a new student in the class. There are dozens of ways you could use that sort of idea, but it's a good way to have everybody kind of empathize with what is it like to be new. We've all had that experience. There's another activity where you can write about wanted a good friend. And again, here you would be talking about qualities and what would make a good friend to you, and share that. There's a jigsaw puzzle here where you could actually almost use this like a bingo game where students could write something on the puzzle piece, or they could draw something if you've got a younger class and they're not going to be writing something, but it could be draw image of a friend. They could draw something they like to do with a friend. You could decide, and then you could certainly put the pieces together if you wanted to cut them out. There's a section I always every year talked about friends being alike and being different, and talking about how we can all be friends with somebody who is different. We don't have to like the same things. We don't have to look alike. We don't have to have the same interests, but we can still be friends with someone. So here's an activity that highlights that. And then finally, there's one about creating an empathy wall where kids can take sticky notes and write a quality of a good friend, or even maybe a compliment for a friend, and you could make a bulletin board or a wall of that and make it an empathy wall. You could certainly add to that all along the year. All of the lesson plans do have discussion questions from the book. There is a word search for each one of the books that you could use. And there are some coloring sheets for younger kids if you want to use those to kind of highlight what you've talked about. And at the top of each coloring sheet, there's something to think about. So here's what it says. As you color the picture of Wyatt, Amy, and friends playing, think about how you could help someone who is new make friends. So even the coloring pages have some way to emphasize the idea of friendship, what makes a good friend. And this is certainly something you could use at the beginning of the school year as you create lessons on friendship, but also throughout the school year, because let's face it, you have new students coming and going all year. And in addition, you have students who have problems or falling out, they have arguments, they have conflicts, and it doesn't hurt even in the middle of the year or toward the end of the year to continue talking about what makes a good friend. So I hope that helps. And as always, thanks so much for all you do for children, and thanks for listening.